Unit 5, Learning Target number 7. Use proportions to calculate a whole given a percent. This lesson is about solving percent problems. But to do that, we're going to start by talking about proportions because we're going to use proportions to solve our percent problems. So let's start by solving this proportion. Remember that anytime we have a proportion, we have two equivalent ratios and we set them equal to each other. In this case, we don't know what goes right down here in this x space. So we know that 5 over 100 is equal to 25 over something. We just don't know what that is. So the first step that we're going to do is to cross multiply. So we'll start by multiplying this way. 5 times x is 5x. And then we'll cross multiply this way. 25 times 100 is 25 with 2 zeros after it. Okay, then we're told we have to solve the equation. That's our second step. So to solve the equation, we get x by itself by using inverse operations. We got 5 times x, so the inverse is division. 5 divided by 5 is 1. That leaves us with x on this side. And the third rule is whatever we do to the left side, we have to do to the right side. 2500 divided by 5. Wow, how hard is that going to be? Not hard at all. 5 goes into 25 5 times. 25 minus 25 is 0. And then 5 goes into 0 0 times, and it's going to do that again. So we get 500. X is equal to 500. Now, I want you to think about that. And what we're going to do is we're going to bring this over with us. Let's see if we can take this over onto the next slide with us here. And we're going to put this over top of this problem right here. Now, I want you to label the proportion here based on the problem. Exactly 5% of the children in Lisa's grade are going to Florida for vacation. There are 25 students going to Florida. How many students are in Lisa's grade? And I'm going to post this stuff back up here. When we see 5%, we know that we are dealing with a proportion. 5% is 5 per every 100. And look right here. This is our 5% right there. 5% is right there. 5 over 100. That's it right there. Now, 5%, 5 out of every 100 are going to Florida for vacation. If we know that 25 students are going to Florida, 25 students are going to Florida, how many students are in Lisa's grade? So we've got a part over here and a hole on the bottom, and a part over here and a hole on the bottom. So the total number of students in Lisa's grade will be equal to the result of our solving this proportion. And when we do that, hey, it looks a lot like this. We just solved this proportion earlier, and we got 500. So how many students are in Lisa's grade? Well, 500, because for every 5 out of 100 goes to Florida. Then if 25 go to Florida, if 25 students go to Florida, then there are 500 in their grade. Using proportions makes solving problems so easy that you might say to yourself, hey, why can't I just use proportions to solve everything? And I would say, well, you can use it to solve a lot of things, but you can't use it to solve everything. It does become very useful anytime you're solving any kind of problem where you have a part to a whole. And that's very, very important for what we're going to be doing through the rest of this lesson. So here's a problem for us. The human brain is 73% water. 73% water. That's a lot of water in your brain. I never really realized that. The average human brain weighs, not was, that's supposed to be weighs 3 pounds. What is the weight of water in the average human brain? We're trying to set up a proportion. So the very first thing we're going to know as soon as we see this percent is that we have one proportion. 73 is our part, and 100 is our whole. 73 out of 100. So 73 parts of the brain out of every 100 parts of the brain are water. So if we could break this up into little tiny squares like we did, and we got 100 squares, then what we'd wind up with is 73 of those would be made of water. So that's going to be equal to what? Well, we want a equivalent ratio that tells us the weight of water in the average of human brain. So if the average human brain weighs about 3 pounds, then 3 pounds is the whole. That's the whole. And we want to find out what is the weight of water. What is the weight of the part? The water, 73% water. What is the weight of the part of our whole? And we have our proportions set up. So let's see what we come up with. First thing we'll do is we'll cross multiply. 100 times x is 100x. And 73 times 3 is 219. 219. So these are equal to each other. 100x is equal to 73 times 3, which is 219. Now we need to solve. We get x all by itself by using inverse operations. We divide over here. Now, since you can all use your calculator, we're going to use our calculator for this one. Let's pop out our handy-dandy little calculator here, and we'll divide 219 by 100, and we'll get 2.19 pounds of your brain is made of water.